The succession war is raging on full blast right now among the Kakin royalty. But for some reason, I couldn't be brought to say that I know a lot about all these princes. Some of them are pretty much an entire mystery to me, and so I have to get into it with the little I have, but so much is expressed in it, and you might get surprised. Just to start off, we already know that the princes have these Nen beasts, and that these Nen beasts represent them, their psyche, in some way, shape, or form. With that in mind, we definitely have to get into some of these princes. And I'm gonna start off with the 13th prince, Mariam, who we don't know anything about pretty much, besides the fact that he's a little jit. Now, Mariam's Nun Beast is a whole dragon, but before we go to the Nun Beast, I want you to take attention to how Mariam plays, and to be more exact, where Mariam plays. He is often put in situations where he is towering over a city, or placed as some sort of godly figure around a city. You might even call it some sort of giant inside of a city of toys. The choice of toys makes sense for his status. I would imagine that his mother had in mind the idea of putting him in front of that city so that he can feel like he is the king of that city, so that it can inspire him for the future to become a true king. Sort of like a person buying an abacus for their child so that they can become a good mathematician. In all of the scenes, there are miniatures of what you would find in real life, but in a toy version for Mariam to play around. Even the fact that he has a hamster presents this idea of a giant towering over the crowd, sort of like an all-powerful presence towering over its subjects. Now keep that in mind and think about Miriam's Nun Beast. Think about its shape and think about it a bit more. When you think about how it grows or how it gets bigger as time goes, it does react to his emotional turmoil, but it also reacts to who the Nun Beast is. And if you see Miriam amongst that scenery of toys representing small cities, you can see Miriam has a kaiju, and you can even see his Nun Beast has a kaiju. To me, all these aspects help in portraying his personality, what kind of kid he is, because he is definitely confident and also has a childlike imagination and a childlike innocence, because in the first instances where we see the beast, he is a happy, smiley little beast, pretty much the most cartoonesque and happiest beast of them all. But as time changes, the beast changes too, because Miriam is actually a perceptive little kid and understands that there are things that are not going right around him and adapts as much as it can, which is a proof of his own intelligence. I might even have to go further, because in one scene right after Momose's death, you see Miriam gather his thoughts around his hamster in his open cage. It's not an open cage, but the cage being of open faces but still closed off was probably the inspiration for the closed off space that the Nen Beast will later create. And you can see it in the eyes of Miriam that that might have been the inspiration, because one chapter later we find out finally that he has enclosed everybody in a closed space, his own little city for all his subjects.